Most people who want a protection dog end up buying the wrong one. They see a German Shepherd on Instagram, looking disciplined and military grade, and they think that's the pinnacle of what a guard dog can be. I get it. Shepherds are everywhere. They're in every police department, every movie, every top 10 protection breeds video on YouTube. And they're good dogs. I'm not here to argue that. But the Boerboel exists. And once you actually learn what this dog is, you'll realize most people are shopping for a padlock when they could have a vault door. This is a South African Mastiff that was literally bred to fight lions and leopards off farmland. Not to bark at them, not to alert the owner, to fight them and win. Let that sit for a second. Fact 1. The bite force. 800 pounds per square inch. That number gets thrown around online with a lot of skepticism, and honestly, precise bite force measurements across breeds are inconsistent. Nobody's figured out a universally accepted testing method, and I'll admit that freely. But even on the conservative end of the estimates, the Boerboel consistently sits among the top 3 or 4 hardest biting dogs on the planet, right alongside the Kangal and the Cane Corso. To put 800 pounds per square inch in context, a lion bites at around 650. A hyena, famous for crushing bone, lands around 1,000. The Boerboel is somewhere in that conversation. This isn't a pet that discourages an intruder, it's one that ends the situation. Fact 2. The breeding history is unlike any other protection dog. Most guard breeds were developed for specific tasks: herding, hunting, alerting, tracking. The Boerboel's entire existence was engineered around one purpose: survive on the South African frontier and protect the farm from everything: baboons, leopards, jackals, armed humans. Boer settlers in the 1600s didn't have the luxury of calling animal control. If something threatened the livestock or the family, the dog handled it, or the family was finished. Weak dogs didn't reproduce. Dogs that flinched got replaced. Over generations, what remained was an animal with a genetic predisposition for calm, fearless protection work. Not aggression, not nerves, just this cold, methodical guardian instinct. That's different from a dog trained to be aggressive. Trained aggression can be switched off, manipulated, exhausted. Instinct doesn't care what day of the week it is. Fact 3. The size is actually practical. Males average between 150 and 200 pounds. That's not hyperbole for shock value. I've seen Boerboels hit 220 at peak condition. And unlike some giant breeds that are basically just large, slow, friendly furniture, the Boerboel carries that size with a kind of terrifying athleticism. They can clear a 6-foot fence. I knew a guy named Marco in Johannesburg who kept 2 of them, and he said the bigger male once crossed his entire yard in under 4 seconds after hearing something behind the back wall. 4 seconds. That's a 180-pound dog moving like it weighs 60. For protection purposes, size matters on 2 levels: physical deterrence and stopping power. A Boerboel standing in your doorway isn't just visually intimidating, it's physically capable of immobilizing a grown man. Fact 4. The temperament is the part people get wrong. Everyone assumes a dog this powerful must be unstable, reactive, hard to live with, and in bad hands, sure, any tool misused causes damage. A hammer through a wall is still just someone who didn't know what they were doing. Properly bred and raised Boerboels are actually calm, steady. They're not fence-fighting, barking at shadows dogs. They observe, they assess. They're almost eerie in how quiet their confidence is. With their family, they're gentle to a degree that surprises new owners. Known for being patient with children, affectionate with the people they bond to, and genuinely comfortable in domestic life. The switch only flips under genuine threat, and when it does, there's no hesitation and no warning system that gives an intruder time to recalibrate. It just happens. That's not a dog you have to manage around your guests. That's a dog that knows the difference between a threat and your neighbor Dave showing up for dinner. Fact 5. They're banned in multiple countries, and that tells you everything. Denmark, Malaysia, France, parts of Switzerland. Several cities across the United States have breed-specific legislation targeting Boerboels specifically. Now, I have actual opinions about BSL, and most of them aren't polite, because blanket breed bans are bad policy. They punish responsible owners and do almost nothing measurable for public safety. But set the politics aside. The fact that governments have looked at the Boerboel and said we need to formally restrict this tells you exactly how seriously the capability is taken. It's not banned because it sheds a lot or jumps on the furniture. It's banned because legislators looked at what this dog can do and decided that required paperwork. Fact 6. The territorial intelligence is almost strategic. This is the fact that genuinely unsettles me about Boerboels, and I mean that as a compliment. These dogs don't just protect a space. They learn it. They map perimeters. They notice when something is different. A car they haven't seen before, a smell, a person approaching from an angle that most people wouldn't clock as suspicious. There's research in animal behavior circles about how certain Mastiff-type breeds develop what's described as a patrol pattern without any formal training. Essentially, they self-assign a territory and rotate through it methodically. Boerboels do this naturally. Owners report it all the time. The dog just starts doing rounds. You didn't teach it that. Nobody taught it that. That's a creature that has internalized protection as a framework, not a command. Fact 7. They are not beginner dogs, and that's the point. I'm going to say something that will make some breeders unhappy. If you need a list of reasons to convince someone the Boerboel is the right dog for their lifestyle, it probably isn't. This breed requires an owner who is physically capable, genuinely consistent with training, and willing to socialize the dog extensively through adolescence, which, for a Boerboel, can mean active socialization from 8 weeks through 18 months with 0 breaks in protocol. Do not get a Boerboel if you live in a 600 square foot apartment and work 12-hour days. Do not get one if your training plan is, he'll figure it out. The dog will figure it out, just not in the way you wanted. The reason this is actually a mark of the breed's quality is that serious protection animals require serious ownership. A Belgian Malinois is the same story. So is the Caucasian Shepherd. The difficulty of the dog reflects the capability of the dog. Easy dogs don't fight leopards. The Boerboel isn't for everyone. That's fine. Most exceptional things aren't. But if you've been researching protection breeds and you keep cycling through the same 10 names without finding something that actually feels like a real answer, not a trained performance, not a breed that needs a handler to access its capabilities, this is the one that keeps coming back as the honest answer. South African farmers didn't survive the frontier because they had loud dogs. They survived because they had this dog.